Right, folks, welcome back. Crisis Report, June 30th, 2025. Sorry this is so late. I got a wife and she likes me, so we hang out. Anyway, yeah. We have a dying dollar. We do. We just talked about it over on PrepperNow. Worst year since 1973. We're going to get into it, but there's other things that are telling it's a very interesting economic picture right now. You know, there's not a lot of doom going on with the wars in the Middle East or Eastern Europe or Asia. By the way, there's an interesting plane that China supposedly has now. We'll get to that. Whenever things are chugging along and there's not a lot of like war doom, we get into the dollar doom, the financial doom, and all that because there's a lot of financial issues going on. So we need to know about that. We got to talk. Like we gotta talk about it. It's bad. So the dollar is not in a good way. The dollar is dying. And that could have some really bad implications for you and I. And so for me, that's important. And it should be important to you. And we should be talking about these kind of things. So I am talking to some companies about some things. I don't know if it's hitting the 50,000 subscriber mark on PrepperNow or whatever, but there's some interest by companies that are actually legitimate. So I am going to be possibly talking to you guys about some things I think you should be considering. One of those things is a company for precious metals. I haven't hammered out the details yet. Still not absolutely sure. They're going to have to wow my socks off, but it's a very good company. It has a good track record. If I'm going to do it with a company, this is the kind of company I want to work with. But they deal in precious metals, and I like precious metals. And I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just saying that, this is something I like. I like the preservation of wealth. I like using physical items to hold on to my wealth. And our dollar is losing value. When you're in a country, and I'm not saying we're going to hyperinflation, but we've had a lot of inflation that was hyped up. I've been saying that for a couple of years. Well, whenever this happened in other countries, when people made money, they took the money and they put it into physical items because they knew that the money was paper and it would not do well. Okay? It would lose its value. This is what's going on with the dollar. The dollar is losing its value. Gold has gone up by $1,000 in the last 365 days. I looked it up. That's not normal. And it's not even like a who's in charge thing. Because the people running our money are not the people we elect. I can tell you that much. And all of this stuff is really starting to show threadbare just how deep in the ish our financial system is. And so, when it all comes down, folks, as Bad Bobber says, it's all about wealth preservation. Okay? PAMT, it's good to see you, brother. Yeah, there's big things going on. Okay? Hey, Jensen Sarpy, I don't know who you are, but I appreciate you always commenting and liking the Crisis Report. If you guys want this, you can go on to Substack. It is preppernow.substack.com. And you can find this. Just got a new paying customer a few days ago. Have about 16 of those. But guess what? You can get it for free too. Those are like tips from people. So I appreciate them. But if you want all this at your fingertips and you need to, oh, I don't know, go to a link right here. It's all right there waiting for you. Okay? All right, let's get started. We're 5 minutes in. Backcountry bandits. Thanks, man. Lead and lettuce. Absolutely correct. Beans, bullets, lead and lettuce. Man. Bread and boomsticks, whatever, bud. Thank you, bud. I appreciate that. Yeah. Let's do this crisis report for June 30th, 2025. Here we go. Lone shooter was dead after his ambush on U.S. firefighters in Idaho, according to the sheriff there. What an absolutely terrible thing for that man to do. Firefighters are literally some of the coolest people on the planet. I know a few myself. And the fact that that was going on, setting a fire to lure them in and just to ambush them, that's about as low as it gets. That's pretty bad. So, that guy's no longer with us. Indian customs officers in Mumbai said they have stopped a plane passenger arriving from Thailand with a wriggling cargo of live snakes. Someone get these mother snakes on a mother plane, man. Israel foreign minister says Golan, as in the Golan Heights, are going to remain part of Israel in any Syria peace deal. So, good news. Israel is growing. Paris put on the highest heat wave alert level Tuesday. French weather agency says, man, I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'd say my timing of my Paris trip was about as good as it gets. We beat the 12-day war. We beat the big Paris music fest where a bunch of people got hurt. And it was like a normal temperature there when we were there. Now it's hot AF. Lord. The United States says it's revoking visas for banned over its anti-Israel remarks at Glastonbury. There's a criminal investigation launched for performances of Kneecap and Bob Vyland. Bob Vyland is a UK-based band that plays punk hip-hop. Oh, how innovative you are. I bet your music is great. Now, they were saying a bunch of stuff against the IDF. I'm not going to repeat it here, but their concerts that they had in America are canceled, like 26 of them or something. Wes Rowley has been identified as a 20-year-old suspect accused of intentionally starting a brush fire in Idaho and shooting at the responding firefighters. Iran is saying our armed forces are more prepared than ever before. Member of Iran's National Security Committee says the elimination of the Revolutionary Guard commanders will lead to a decisive response. We, too, can threaten Netanyahu's life. Targeted, sophisticated cyber attack has hit the International Criminal Court. Trump administration sues law. Oh, I'm not going to say it. I was going to joke and say Trump has directed the cybersecurity team of the United States forces to attack the ICC. No, I bet he didn't do that. Trump administration sues Los Angeles over its immigration policies. President Trump writes a handwritten note for Fed Chair Powell, says, Jerome, you are as usual too late. You have cost the United States of America a fortune and continue to do so. You should lower the Fed rate by a lot. Hundreds of billions of dollars lost, no inflation. White House says Canada's Carney caved to Trump on tech tax. Rescuers in Turkey have evacuated more than 50,000 people, mostly from the western province of Izmir, as firefighters battled a string of wildfires. President Trump says, I'm doing a major conference call with faith leaders from all over the country, and AT&T is totally unable to make the equipment work properly. This is the second time it's happened. If the boss of AT&T, whoever that may be, could get involved, it would be good. Tens of thousands of people are on the line. It was going to be the best call ever, the most beautiful call you ever seen. And AT&T dropped the ball. Uh-oh, big problems with the big, beautiful bill. Elon Musk said it is obvious with the insane spending of this bill, which increases the debt ceiling by a record $5 trillion, that we live in a one-party country, the Porky Pig Party. Time for a new political party that actually cares about the people. Every member of Congress who campaigned on reducing government spending and then immediately voted for the biggest debt increase in history should hang their head in shame. Shame on you. Trump signed an executive order to terminate the Syrian sanctions. S&P 500, the NASDAQ, end at records, adding to a big quarterly gains. RFK Jr. said to Tucker Carlson that the CDC has concealed an internal study that there's a big old huge increase in a certain something that affects our youngins. Used to be 1 out of every 3, 4, 500. Now it's like 1 out of every 44 get this thing. It is associated with hepatitis B, GBD. Idaho shooter killed 2 firefighters, wounded 1 after they asked him to move his vehicle, according to the sheriff. Idaho sniper suspect Wes Rowley claimed, "I'm going hunting," in a chilling post hours before deadly ambush, as new details are revealed. Elon Musk warns if this insane spending bill passes, the American Party will launch the very next day. United States approves $510 million sale of bomb guidance kits to Israel. United States Department of Justice has begun to prioritize stripping naturalized Americans of their citizenship when charged with crimes, according to a recent memo. Trump signed a memorandum imposing a hardline U.S. policy towards communist-run Cuba, reversing measures put in place by former President Joe Biden, White House said. Pride Month has recorded the lowest nationwide attendance and ticket sales in the history. United States intelligence warns Iranian cyber actors could target vulnerable U.S. networks. Palantir partners with Accenture Federal Services to speed up AI adoption across the U.S. government. Skynet, why is that popping into my head? Tom Homan confirms an investigation is underway into Representative AOC for employing an illegal immigrant on her congressional staff. The individual has since fled the country. Former staffer of Letitia James says she attended a Christmas party and was later drugged, kidnapped, assaulted, and discarded like trash, evidently allegedly at James's direction. Letitia James. Hey, backcountry, bro. You're spending some cheese tonight, man. Thank you. He says the bankers care the most. Just listen to your political masters. You'll be great until you're not. Yeah, I mean, anybody thinking that political answers are going to be the solution to this whole thing, you're missing it. It's not. No. Politics, we need a nice, lean, small federal government that does the very basics, handles the minimum. And everything from there should be out into the more local and regional, your states' rights and all that kind of stuff. And again, it should be less is more. Less government, more freedom. I agree with you, buddy. Thanks. Former staffer Letitia James says she got basically something weird happened. New York erects a 10-foot tall pink foot fountain that sprays water from its tip. This thing looks like a phallus. Okay, for those who know what that is. It's a fancy word for a ding-ding, a dingus, schlong, whatever you want to call it. This thing, it's now I know where it's at because I've been to this place. It's at a place called Highline Park. It's an old railway that's down. It's in like the 20s and 30s. It's on the west side of the village, but beautiful park. It's long and you just kind of walk it, and there's flowers all over the place. Well, evidently they thought putting now they say it's a foot. It looks like a penis. Let's be honest. Just saying. Texas Governor Abbott signs new law declaring gold and silver, legal tender for everyday financial transactions. I wonder what's coming up. I wonder why everybody's doing this and getting ready. I do not know. Mainstream media has warned that cuts to U.S. AID could lead to 11 billion deaths. U.S. dollar has lost 10% of its value in the first 6 months, 2025. Worst performance by any president in 40 years. I don't think you can really say it's a performance by the dollar by the president. If you know the way it works, it is the Federal Reserve that handles such things and raises and lowers the rates. So, they've attributed a lot of this to tariffs too. So I'm sure there's an influence, but saying that, Trump do it, that's kind of a misnomer. So he didn't help things, but the Federal Reserve is where you should be looking. Canada backs down. Canadian Finance Ministry announced the cancellation of plans to impose a tax on digital services from the United States. To save trade talks with the Trump administration last week, the president announced the immediate cancellation of the trade talks with Ottawa due to the decision to tax American digital services. Trump stated he has no contact with Iran following the U.S. strikes on nuclear facilities and rejected reports of any proposals made to Tehran. Iran updates: 935 people were killed during the 12-day war with Israel. And Amir Sarfati is saying that over 90% were military, IRGC, and civilians related to the military program. Bob Vylan, punk pop band, hip hop, whatever, pump hip hop, 26 concerts canceled in the U.S. All canceled. And, yep. Amir says he should go to Gaza and start helping them. It's not a bad idea. Shah of Iran speaks at only 24 hours after opening a secure communication channel for military, law enforcement, security, and government forces. Thousands of Iranians have reached out, and this number is increasing rapidly. Regime defectors now have a safe back channel. Do you think it's real? I mean, I heard that it's kind of like China, and going on the internet, like there's a heavy firewall. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. What does the market think about the outcome of the 12-day Israel war? This is a long one. Comparison between the Iranian and Israeli stock markets. Recent events. 12-day war shows stark impacts. Iran. Stock exchange experienced a severe sell-off, considered one of the worst in history, following a 9-day shutdown, chaotic reopening. Government inability to manage the fallout from the conflict, crisis of investor confidence, prolonged distress. The market was left in the state of prolonged distress. 3 days after reopening, the main index continued to plummet. Now, as for Israel, market, including the TA 125 index, showed a rally since the war began, contrasting with a slight decline in the S&P 500. Shekel is strengthening. Israeli currency strengthened against both the dollar and the euro. Well, dollar is weakening, so no big deal. But the euro as well, that's pretty good. Bonds are holding steady. Investors seem to believe the conflict brought greater clarity to Israel's security and economy, potentially creating new opportunities. And the Israeli security landscape had undergone significant changes in the 20 months leading up to the conflict, influencing the market reactions. So, air defense systems in Tehran have been activated. Drones from Liechtenstein and Luxembourg, that's him messing around. But yeah, they're still hitting things from time to time in Iran. Zoran Mamdamdi. Modi is someone who we should view in the same manner that we do Netanyahu. He is a war criminal. Zoran has Pakistani roots of some sort. I forget exactly what it is. The Bohai Beast, an Ekranoplane, returns. You guys maybe have heard of the Caspian Sea Monster. It's this big, huge Soviet-era plane that sits on a beach, if I remember correctly. But this is a Cold War relic. They call it the Bohai Sea Monster for the new version of China. A cranoplane is a wing-in ground effect aircraft. Fast, low-flying vehicle skims just above the water using lift from ground effect. And why? Because it stays below the radar. Soviets led the way in building them, but interest faded after the USSR collapsed. Chinese design, painted in military gray, is the largest cranoplane seen in decades. Role remains unconfirmed, but this could be a rapid island resupply aircraft or assault transport, potentially supporting amphibious operations alongside China's AG-600 flying boat. It is an unique-looking plane. Go look up the Caspian Sea Monster. It's a pretty interesting story in its own. Slovakia's Foreign Minister, Jaraj Blaner, says the West should find a way to work with Russia and perhaps even forgive what happened. Mossad says Iran's Quds Force commander Esmail Khani is not our spy. Iranian deputy foreign minister Khani was accused of spying because he's like the only one left. Tehran received information from intermediaries that the U.S. does not plan regime change in Iran, nor does it plan to take action against the supreme leader. Honda has successfully tested a reusable rocket, completed its first successful launch and vertical landing of a reusable experimental rocket in Hokkaido, Japan. Flight duration 56.6 seconds, max altitude 271 meters, landing accuracy within 37 centimeters of its target. It's really cool video. Congratulations to Honda. They make good products. I've owned many Hondas in my time. Don't currently, but they're good cars. Good company. Here, their generators are actually pretty good too. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar. Israel is interested in establishing official diplomatic ties with Syria and Lebanon. Israel will not negotiate the Golan Heights at any peace agreement, so they're holding on to it. We cannot rely on Trump's statements changing positions, according to the Iranian Foreign Ministry. Egyptian President al-Sisi said peace is not possible, and the Egyptian-Israeli peace is not impossible, and the Egyptian-Israeli peace experience is proof that peace is possible if intentions are sincere. Israeli army informed the political leadership of its preference for reaching an agreement or occupying the Gaza Strip. Iranian President Pezeshkian says the director of the International Atomic Energy Agency was not neutral and unacceptable to Iran. Their parliament's decision to suspend cooperation with the agency is a natural reaction to the agency's non-constructive behavior. 2 Russia-funded Sputnik staffers in Baku were detained, allegedly undercover FSB agents. Earlier today, security forces raided Sputnik's office in Azerbaijan, took control of the premises. Russia's foreign ministry says it cannot reach the journalists and is deeply concerned. Azerbaijan and Russia are not in a good political sense right now. Putin aims to seize Odessa and cut Ukraine off from the sea. Now his top priority, says senior official to FT. NATO leaders fear Ukraine's frontline situation could worsen by fall, depending on aid and allies. Trump administration told Harvard University that its investigation found that Harvard violated federal civil rights law over its treatment of Jewish and Israeli students. Wall Street Journal. Kidnapping crisis has deepened in South Africa. 4,571 kidnappings in Q1 2025, 6.8% year-on-year surge. Gauteng, Durban, and Nelspruit, Witbank are key hotspots. Over 75% of cases, 88 arrests, 77 rescues, 82% of KwaZulu-Natal abductions are express kidnappings. Israeli army spokesperson says we acknowledge that the Palestinian civilians have been harmed at aid distribution centers in Gaza. We have issued instructions to our forces based on lessons learned from what happened at aid centers. Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei says our cultural and civilizational wealth is hundreds of times greater than that of America and the like. The expectation that Iran would surrender to another country is one of those absurd statements that will undoubtedly provoke the ridicule of wise nations. Trump says to show people how spoiled countries have become with respect to the United States of America, and I have great respect for Japan, they won't take our rice, and yet they have a massive rice shortage. In other words, we'll just be sending them a letter, and we love having them as a trading partner for many years to come. Pretty telling of our food if Japan's like, nah, your rice isn't good for us. Trump's Ukraine envoy Kellogg says Russia cannot continue to stall for time while it bombs civilian targets in Ukraine. Elon Musk on Trump's bill. It is obvious with the insane spending of this bill, which increases the debt ceiling by a record $5 trillion, that we live in a one-party country with a Porky Pig party. It's time for a new political party, cares about the people. Guardian says Zohran Mamdani, New York's far-left Islamist Democrat mayoral candidate, implies the worst thing about 9/11, and that it was Islamophobia he faced afterwards. From the streets of Havana, Cuban is fed up with blackouts, misery lashes, out of the regime, saying communism only works for you and not for us. Hey, Zohran, take a look, bud. Iranian air defenses were activated in most parts of Tehran over the past minutes. Iranian autocannons were reported in Hakimeh, Tehranpars, Narmak, Sohanek, Lavazan, and Azgal. Despite the claims by the regime, it seems that Israeli intelligence and their helpers are still very well present in the Iranian capital, conducting recon with small drones. IRGC-affiliated Tasnim news agency says that Tehran's air defenses were activated all over the capital as part of drills to deal with quadcopters. Ironic how these drills are happening on a daily basis since the ceasefire. DXY, dollar index, value of the United States relative to a basket of foreign currencies, is breaking new lows, February 2022. Now at 96.858, and Euro USD print a new local high since September 2021, 1.1777777 USD per euro. Year-to-date percentage change in DXY from 67 to 2025 is the worst since 1973. Oh, what's that? Yeah, Goldman Sachs now forecasts the Fed to implement 325 BP rate cuts in 2025, starting in September. Various previous prediction of one cut in December. And gold was a strong comeback after touching a one-month low. See solid buying during Asian hours for the second day and nearing a channel breakout. Yeah. How you doing, gold? All right, friends. That is your crisis report. Get into prepping. Get into wealth preservation. Get into buying things that hold their value. Okay? Seriously. Do that. Do that now. Because the dollar is dying. And that's why we're entitled to this. And as you can see, they're going to start cutting rates. And the gold is coming back and it's going to go up. It'll be $4,000 probably by December. Yeah. So, keep doing the things, friends. Thanks for coming to the Crisis Report. Hit that like button, to the subscribe thing, darken out the bell. And we will be back with another installment tomorrow. You can get all of this on PrepperNow.substack.com. We would love to see you there. God bless. Have a great evening. See you on the next one.